Hey all, Jason Levon, priest at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome to another edition of Pause and Pray. One of the things that continually amazes me, that I get to see about life in my role as clergy, is the courage people have to navigate the fluidity of life. And I see that in profound ways when people bring that courage to church or to talk with me, like when they're navigating questions or conversations about vocation and direction, and when they find their lives being pulled into a new chapter. Or maybe it's conversation around meaning in life and what really matters as people are navigating grief and loss. Or maybe it's conversations about personal struggles and restlessness and the journeys that those struggles and restlessness lead to. I think in light of all of that, back to when I first entered seminary, and I remember a conversation I had with my spiritual director, who at the time was a wise Franciscan priest. And I had thought naively that in coming to seminary, I would find a lifetime of peace and contentment, thanks to God, that it was sort of magic in that sense. And all I came to find, thanks to the formation program of seminary, was all sorts of discontentment and restlessness and uncertainty and confusion. And as I was complaining about this with Father Steve, I remember him smiling and looking at me and basically telling me that I was normal and that this was all part of the process of growing in faith, or as he said, of coming to realize that God was helping me find different footings in my life. And that's wisdom that has continued to echo in my life now that I'm nearly 20 years out of seminary. That just when I think I have life figured out in some way, it changes, and I am left realizing how much more I have to learn and how much growth I still need to do. And while those can be frustrating places to be in life for me, I've also lived enough to come to see that they can also be holy places, where when we encounter all of life's changes, all of life's fluidity, we also can find in that a real holy experience of God shifting our lives to more solid footings. That's the wisdom that Paul was trying to articulate in one of the readings, the second reading that is given to us today by the church in the daily office, which comes from chapter 5 of Paul's letter to the Romans. And as he was writing to this early Christian community that was weak and vulnerable and struggling, he was reminding them that in the midst of all they were trying to navigate in life's fluidity and all of their sufferings and struggles that they were facing, that in the midst of all of that, God was working to shift their life to a deeper footing of grace upon which they were to stand. And that footing would help them come to growth and endurance and ultimately a hope that cannot and would not ever disappoint. Again, what a beautiful invitation for us all to pause and pray, to look back on the journeys of our lives and how we responded to all of life's fluidity and changes, and to reflect on those experiences we've had in the midst of all of that, God shifting our lives to more solid footings. Maybe that was experienced in the love we felt from others, which ultimately helped shift our life from a footing of self-centeredness to a footing of self-gift and wanting to give ourselves to something bigger than ourselves. Or maybe it was experienced in the support of others and who helped shift our life from a footing of self-reliance to a footing of vulnerability and interdependence. Or maybe it was experienced in the wisdom and guidance of others who helped shift the footings of our lives from one of self-righteousness to one of humility. And ultimately to celebrate the fact that in the midst of all of life's changes and fluidity and all of its chaos that brings, we still find ourselves encountering again and again a God working through all of that. to shift our lives to deeper, more solid foundations of faith, hope, and love, which cannot and will not ever disappoint. God's peace and blessings to you all.